Welcome back to another episode of our weekly podcast, where we look at practical ways Africa is growing in technology. We try as much as possible to talk about what is happening now and avoid speculative discussion. This is because our aim is to empower others into action. So let's jump into today's exciting episode.
You know what blew my mind recently? During the pandemic, we couldn't even make basic face masks in Africa. It turns out we've lost the ability to manufacture almost 90% of what we used to make just a few decades ago.
That's such a startling statistic. How did we end up so dependent on overseas manufacturing?
Well, it's a fascinating story that goes way beyond just chasing cheap labor. I recently came across this eye-opening experiment where someone spent 4 years trying to manufacture products entirely in America, and what they discovered was pretty shocking.
What kind of challenges did they run into?
The cost differences were astronomical. Here's a perfect example. A single American-made stainless steel bolt cost 35.5 cents, while the identical bolt from overseas was just 9 cents. Sometimes the raw material cost for domestic bolts was higher than the entire finished product from foreign suppliers.
That's quite a price gap. But surely there must be domestic suppliers who can compete.
That's what you'd think, but finding them was like searching for a needle in a haystack. They spent months just trying to locate US suppliers for basic components. And here's where it gets really interesting. Even when they thought they found domestic suppliers, things weren't what they seemed.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they ordered what they believed was American-made chainmail, but it turned out to be from China. Then they got knobs supposedly made in America that arrived marked made in Costa Rica. It was like playing this constant game of supply chain hide and seek.
So it sounds like we've lost more than just manufacturing capacity. We've lost transparency in the supply chain too.
Exactly. But here's what's really fascinating. At the heart of this problem is something called tool and die manufacturing. It's this incredibly specialized skill of making the tools that make other products, and we're losing it at an alarming rate.
Could you explain what tool and die making actually involves? I hear the term thrown around a lot.
Think of it this way. Before you can mass produce anything plastic, you need a mold, right? Tool and die makers are the skilled craftspeople who create these precision molds and tools. It's so specialized that it takes years just to learn the basic vocabulary of the trade.
That sounds like quite a specialized skill set. Are there enough people learning these trades?
That's the concerning part. There aren't. The incentives to enter the trade have decreased significantly. Meanwhile, in places like China, they have so many tooling engineers they could fill multiple football fields. In Africa, they say we couldn't even fill a room.
But what about all our advanced technology? Couldn't that help bridge the gap?
You're onto something there. There are some promising developments with computer-aided design and 3D printing. In this experiment, they used 3D printing to create test molds using a special material called Formlab's Rigid 10K, which allowed them to verify designs before committing to expensive metal molds.
That sounds like it could be a game changer. Is it really making a difference?
It's helping, but it's not a complete solution. While these technologies can assist with the physical creation of tools and molds, they don't replace the deep knowledge needed to design them properly. You still need to understand how a mold should work, how material flows, and all the complex factors that go into successful manufacturing.
So we're really facing multiple challenges here: cost, skills, technology, and knowledge preservation.
And don't forget intellectual property protection. When manufacturing overseas, there's a huge risk of designs being copied. The experiment found that overseas manufacturers would often make knockoffs and sell them on platforms like Amazon, sometimes at lower quality.
How do companies protect themselves against that?
That's the thing, it's nearly impossible. Getting infringing products taken down from Amazon is extremely difficult and costly. It's especially devastating for small businesses that rely on intellectual property protection.
It sounds like we're at a crucial turning point. What needs to happen to turn this around?
Well, the experiment showed that we need a multi-pronged approach. We need better training programs for skilled trades, especially in tool and die making. We need investment in both traditional and new manufacturing technologies. And we need policies that support domestic manufacturing without making products completely uncompetitive.
Do you see any signs of progress?
There are some encouraging developments, particularly in the integration of new technologies with traditional manufacturing. But the bigger challenge is rebuilding the knowledge networks and supply chains that we've lost. It's not just about building factories, it's about recreating entire ecosystems of manufacturing capability.
This really changes how you think about everything we use, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Every product has this incredible story behind it of knowledge, skills, tools, and technologies all coming together. And if we want to maintain our ability to make things, we need to understand and address these challenges before it's too late.